I wanted to say hello again and share my gratitude this week. My grandson Kingston, his 7, is with us, so now I have 3 children in my house. This reminds you you're young, and also that it is a blessing. Oh, that's a little close. Can we turn that down just a hair? But I'm so grateful. I haven't seen him in a year and a half, and so it's really lovely for him to be there, and it's helping me to live the talk. Calm mind, embrace the mystery. I came home from getting something and there were toys everywhere because he's been gone a year and a half. And every phone call is like, Nana, do you still have my toys? Where are my toys? I'm like, they're here. So when I came home, he went through every box looking for his toys. So it was fun. It's so lovely. Children remind me to play. But I really wanted to say thank you to our soloist today and to Bob and to Sandy, that was beautiful, and to all the people, Jackson, that support us, Clay, everybody here, if I've left you out, I'm so grateful. It takes a village to make this work, even our community. When you read the affirmation and no one prompted you, I was like, look at Spirit go. You did that so well. I think that'll be your role from now on. We'll give that to you. But I just wanted to say thank you again, and today we really are talking about calming the mind, embracing the mystery of life. But first I want to tell you about a minister that started at a new church. So he was at the church for about 2 weeks, and someone came up to him and he said, a congregant said to him, there's a monster under my bed. And the pastor said, okay, what would you like for me to do about that? And he goes, I don't know. Do you have a mantra, a quote, a Bible? Can you come bless my room? And the minister said, well, why don't you just go home, take a deep breath, and look under the bed? And the man said, I can't. It's too scary. And the minister pastor said, okay, well, let me think about it. I'll look through scriptures and find something for you. So the congregant went home, and he was so afraid. He called his friend, and he said, that darn minister forgot about me. He did not give me a Bible quote to help me know there's not a monster in my bed. And his friend said, well, just cut the legs off and go to sleep. Then there's nothing under your bed. See, this is what the mind does to us. Like, there's always an answer for a calm mind. Sometimes we overlook it because fear gets the best of us. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That Ernest Holmes says that life is a mirror and reflects back to the thinker what he thinks into it. This quote really does encapsulate the power of a calm mind. When our minds are calm, we do things differently than when we are in fear. I don't know about you, but when I'm in fear, every problematic possibility comes up that I can possibly explore and takes me down 50 different roads, and it makes me feel like I'm in control, and I get my hands in the mud of life, and I want it Tracey's way. And you know, Tracey's way isn't the big picture and is not inclusive of everybody else. So today we're going to explore that habit of how cultivating emotional strength in times of difficulties, and how drawing upon the principle of emotional strength allows us to flow with the mystery of life. And you know, we are all works in progress. We all have shocks. We're human beings, and we are not here to be perfect. We're here to do the inner work. So when the outer objective thing is happening, it is reminding us to do the inner work. This week, we had some things going on at home, and I had a lot of anxiety, and I was driving, and I'm like, okay, anxiety, I feel you in my body. I have a belief. It has informed my body. Anxiety is the result, and I normally, I'm not supposed to be anxious. What is it? And I like to push it away or calm it down. But this time I invited it into some conversation, like, what's going on here? And I was driving, and I had this belief come up. And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? And I was so excited about that. So I called my mentor, Reverend Cheryl, and she goes, well, baby, that's nice. And I said, well, thank you. Isn't it exciting that I pulled up this belief and now my mind is so calm? And she goes, yes, but you know, if you don't have the other side of that equation, the truth, then that belief is you're still going to ring at that vibration. Even though you see it, you haven't replaced the old idea with a new truth. And then she goes, so, all right, baby, what's the truth? And I go, she's like, well, I don't know. Come on now. Power, peace, love, light, beauty, joy. And I was like, what's the truth? And my mind immediately got caught up in how I thought she wanted to hear it, because I do know the truth. And so do you, because you are the truth. And when we have a calm mind, it gives us access to that truth. So another belief arose, like, I have to give her the right answer, and if I don't, I'm going to be in trouble. It was silly. And she's like, I'm going to sit on the phone with you, and you can tell me the truth. And I go, ooh, well, I got to go in the daycare, so I better make it quick. But you know what arose for me is, I am enough. I am truth. I am light. I am love. I am enough. I love myself. Tracey's pretty cool. Flaws, of course. But I have, well, we keep cutting out. I apologize. I had this overwhelming feeling of calmness, and my mind went very calm, and I realized that and I realized this idea, and then Reverend Sherrill said to me, it ain't nothing but a lie. It is nothing but a lie. That anxiety is telling you your belief is nothing but a lie. And we're going to replace it with the truth. The truth is, the day you were born, you were enough. The day you made your first mistake, you were enough. The day your teacher said you could do it differently, and maybe you took it in a particular way, you were enough. You have been enough since the day you were born. You have been enough through everything you considered a mistake, and you are enough right now. And that belief took hold, and I got goosebumps in the car, and I was so excited. And when I got home, I had to do this. We had a court date, and I sat there so calmly going, let it be done. And it was such a different way to have an experience that my mind was afraid of. It was so beautiful. Clay, can you put up that first slide for me? A calm mind allows us to see life clearly and make decisions from a place of peace and wisdom rather than fear or reaction. Now, I don't know about you, but when I told you my mind goes down 50 different roads, it's really going down. It's looking, calculating, trying to figure out how it can get this done with the least amount of pain and suffering, which causes the most amount of pain and suffering. It's odd how it works that way. And so habit number one that we could cultivate is control your attention, not your emotions. The first habit of an emotionally strong person is controlling your attention. Emotional strength isn't about getting rid of our strong feelings. It's about knowing how to respond to them in a healthy way. Our emotions are not always in our direct control. If you really stop and pay attention to them, they come and go, because circumstances come and go. But there is one thing that resonates within you that is always the same, and that is your truth. It is an unwavering truth beyond any circumstances, because if your circumstances was the truth and what you felt and thought about them was the truth, then you would be that all the time, and the truth is you're not. Because as soon as some resolution comes or you step into truth, that vibration shifts and the experience becomes different and you feel a sense of calmness. So when we let go of controlling things, when we stay and try to stay in control of things, we only prolong our pain and suffering. And if you want to be emotionally centered, focus on controlling your attention. The attention is your superpower. You can direct it wherever you want it to go. And where you place your attention, vibrationally, is what grows. So we have the power to see a circumstance, as a negative or a positive. We don't want to lie about the circumstance, right? Reality of life, if it's very difficult. But what we can do is control our mental attitude as we move through it the best that we can. And if we can't, we phone a friend. And when we phone that friend, we stay open to what they have to say to us. I don't know about you, but I used to call someone, and then I would go, I know. So I really wasn't ready for the truth, right? I just wanted to unload my story onto them. And I have beautiful mentors that'll go, you get one time. One story. And then after is my turn. And you're going to know the truth. And before we get off this phone call, I'm going to be able to say it to you. And that was really hard for me because I don't really think I wanted an answer. I just wanted to talk about my story. Again, which is fine. But when you talk about your story, you're recreating it in your mind over and over and over again. And you cannot find the peaceful solution from the same level of consciousness in which you experienced the difficulty. So we have to have faith and trust. And if we don't have that person, then we ask Spirit, show me that person. Send me an angel. We sit, and I know for me, I sit, and I just have my own mantra that I repeat until I can find the words or the tears come. Because if you think about crying, it makes you feel good. But sometimes we look at it as being weak. And since we were babies, crying has been the sign of the breath of life. It releases, in our body physiologically, it releases something. I can't think of the word right. Like it is a physiological reaction from our mind and body, and it releases endorphins in it and allows us to express ourselves. Even if you're just doing it in a car and someone drives by and they see you crying, I am like, oh, you know what? It's okay. They see me cry because I am releasing. And by acknowledging our feelings without trying to suppress them, we can navigate more effectively our challenges of life. Practice number 2 is compassionate self-talk. Practicing compassionate self-talk is such a wonderful gift to yourself. When you respond to negative emotions in a manner to yourself that you would never deploy to another person, this is not considered a positive thing. Because I always think, would I say that to somebody else? And the answer is no. Then why am I saying it to myself? Oh, my self-esteem might have been lowered a little bit. I might be uncertain. I'm definitely in fear. And I need to fill myself up. And what is my truth? My truth is I am enough. My truth is I'm power, peace, light, beauty, joy. My truth is the day I was born, I deserve to be here. My birthright is the good, and the good in the world ought to be mine, and it is most definitely yours. So we can navigate more effectively our own resolution conflict in our mind. And when we become okay with ourselves and we can regulate our own nervous system and our own circumstances, then guess what happens when we open ourselves to the objective world? We are calm and we open a window for divine knowledge and wisdom to flow through us and out. And you might even, I know for me it's like, ooh, what if the window closes? We all have these messages, right? We all have these moments. But even if you have that thought, it goes back to, well, if I had the thought, what if that window closes? Then I need to go back to the truth. I am enough. I was okay the day I was born. God is me. I am God. We are one. And the only thing covering up that truth is my own idea about myself. And if I have that idea about myself, I might have it about you. So if I'm in a relationship with you and there's a conflict, where do I need to go? Back here. You need to do the inner work. We need to see and let go and repeat, and we need to take the time to love ourselves. Because when we truly sit in the stillness and give ourselves everything that we wish somebody else would give to us, then you recognize that truth as your own, and nothing can shake you from your foundation. The world is full of shocks. The reality of what is happening in life can be difficult. What you think about that reality is suffering. So when we stop and practice compassionate self-talk, we build emotional strength. We treat ourselves with the same kindness, again, we would offer a dear friend. This means that we acknowledge our emotions without judging them. I never understood that when I would talk to my teacher and he'd say, don't judge yourself. And I was like, I wasn't judging myself. What are you talking about? Well, there we go. I apologize for the microphone, but we're going to go with the flow. I didn't really understand until much further down the road what that means. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were talking about relationships, and we found this really good book. And I was reading this quote, and she's like, yeah, I hate when I do that. It's wrong. And my ears went, and I was like, well, that's so interesting. Is it wrong, or is it just a habit that you've cultivated? Because when you say something's wrong about yourself, you're judging yourself, and you're applying a lot of pressure. And she's like, well, when I do it, it doesn't work. And I go, that just means you have to look at that behavior, discover the belief that's behind it, and replace it with a higher truth. And then you'll see that dissolve, and that habit really was just cultivated as a defense mechanism from something that you might have went through in your life. And sometimes people can hear it, and sometimes they can't. And what I realized, that's not really my business. My business is when the truth arises, and we're in conversation, and if I have to have the courage to say it, and they have to have the courage to accept it. And it's not an intrusive idea like I'm telling you how to be. It was a sharing of idea that came up when I heard those words. And this is what that wisdom does, is it informs you. You become a beacon. Just like my Reverend Cheryl, who, when I met her in Foundations, and I think I've said this before, I said to her, ooh, I need to know you. I can feel the wisdom oozing out of you. You're somebody that I want to love. And she was like, oh, Tracey, I beat heinies with my wisdom. You might want to be careful. And I was like, nope, I need a tough old gal. I need you. And she proceeded. We would get out of Foundations at 9. I wasn't working. She would take me to IHOP and sit till 5 a.m. and counter every story with a higher truth. It was very aggravating, and we sat for a long time because I could fight for my limitation, right? Have you ever noticed when someone might be giving you what you know is a higher truth, but you are really resistant to it? You're like, you don't know me. And you're really fighting, and one day she goes, are we going to sit here all night while you fight for your limitations, or are you going to realize your divine essence and be quiet and be still and hear that voice come through your heart so you know the highest truth possible about yourself? And, well, it scared me, so I did get quiet. But it took a while for me to understand. But, this is the inner work. It takes time. I don't know about you, but I was in such a hurry because I just wanted to get rid of the part of me I didn't like. And the quicker I could get rid of that, the better I would be. But the truth is, I needed to fall in love with that part of myself. That's what I'm inviting you in to here at Prescott CSL, is to look at that part of yourself that we don't always appreciate and realize. It has saved your hiney quite a few times, and it deserves appreciation. And what it is looking for is appreciation from the inside out. It is looking for your heart to open for your own thine self be true. Oh, there is a great love, and that love is me. I am that love. And when I embody that, I do the work to really allow it to land. I open up and I express at a greater and higher truth, not for you, for me. Because when I recognize that, there is no you, because the oneness of all divineness comes and becomes you. So when someone is standing in front of you, you may see their personality self, you may see their conflict or their pain and suffering, but the thing that you see the most is the spark of light that was there the day they took their first breath, and you know that as their truth. Hazel once said, and I think she said in her talk, somebody was having a negative self-talk, and someone she knew said, that's not the truth I know about you. Something to this effect. I'm paraphrasing Hazel. But I was so intrigued by that, because when I meet people and I get distracted by their story, I can easily slip into my people-pleasing, enabling, codependency, and want to save them and want to give them all the answers, and then I realize, how will they ever know their truth if you're busy trying to secure their personality self so they don't suffer. They need to suffer in that moment. It builds their confidence that they can do it. It builds their resilience. It builds their ability to stand on their faith and to discover that essence for them truth. It is not my job to redefine someone's personality. It is my job to stand in that essence that is the same in you as it is in me, and to reverberate that to you at the highest level. And some days I'll be really good at it, and so will you, and some days we'll forget, and we have our own people to remind us of that highest truth. And that highest truth stands for the center, it stands for our congregation, it stands for online, it stands for all of Prescott and humanity. It is the beauty of the divine essence through our humanity, that we have a thought, it informs our body responds, and if we do not do the inner work to create a space between that false idea and reaction, we are in a perpetual loop of suffering. And we will continually go out to the objective world and blame, shame, or guilt, because ultimately what we're doing is having that about the side of us, that part of us that we want to hide away. But when we bring that into the light and we allow the love to fill it, that every pain and suffering is just an idea that has been seated in our consciousness that is an untruth. So finally, Clay, can you bring up the next slide? Part of this is our attachments to beliefs. You know, they manifest as filters that prevent us from fully experiencing life and seeing the potential. Masks for work, masks for home, masks, and you can tell because there's an incongruency that you feel in your gut, and there's this idea that, oh, that's not quite right. Why did I say that? And we go home, we might forget about it, we might ponder it. I don't know about you, but I'm a ruminator. I can ruminate on things for weeks. And what I have decided to do and have been practicing, and I'm here to report it works, is I found my mantra, and when I'm ruminating, I immediately do the mantra, which stops the ruminating. It makes my mind go calm. The ruminating ceases, and the truth arises, and the reaction towards myself or anybody else in the room ceases. And it's a little bit harder when you're in your direct karma, your relationships, because they are really there to help you grow. It doesn't always feel like that. Yet last week when we were driving home, lots of traffic because they're working on the freeway. And in the morning we're hurrying and getting everything together, and Bill packed 2 bottles and decided to take the back road home, which took us to a stop sign and 18 miles of traffic in a car. Stop, go, stop. And I could feel it. I could feel the pressure rising. And this idea came and said, don't you do the best you can do? Don't you? And is it going to, what's the worst that could happen? It's going to take a little bit longer to get home. What if you said, thank you for trying to get us home quicker? And Tracey aside is like, why'd you go this way? We could have been on the freeway. We could have been home. Do you only pack 2 bottles? What is going on with you? And on this side, just like the angel and the devil is like, nothing bad is happening. Nothing bad is happening. Everything is okay. Take this moment, put on your headphones. I am a robot. I am a robot. Like, you guys didn't know that, huh? I fooled you. I'm AI. So it happens to all of us, and we get very frustrated. And then when I got home, I had to forgive myself and go, hey, you did the best you could. But the real win was I looked at him and I looked at my husband and I said, thank you. And he's like, what? I go, just thank you. Thank you for trying to get us home. It's going to be okay. Baby, she's going to cry. I'm good with it. And, it was the best that I could do in that moment. But it was a different decision than I would have made if I had reacted from my frustration. So we do the best we can, and as we do it, our consciousness expands, real wisdom comes through, and we get better at it, like everything, right? My little grandson was playing a video game on the way up here, Kingston, and he said, it's hard. I go, of course it is. You just opened the app and you just started. I go, everything is hard when you just start, but you can do it. You can keep at it. You can keep failing. You can keep that little man falling off the top of the house, and he'll keep running back up. And then one time you're going to do it better than you did it before, and you're going to go, Nana, I did it. And I'm going to go, yes, you did. And say that to myself every time I make a new and better decision. And I will say it for you too. I keep it in prayer for all of humanity. The final is setting healthy boundaries. When we set strong, emotionally healthy boundaries, and they are very hard to enforce if you weren't raised with them, but when we do this, we discover our discomfort, because what the discomfort is telling us in setting boundaries is you've never set them before. And if we're uncomfortable with people having opinions about us, boundaries are the hardest thing to do. But it's just like the video game. You got to keep doing it, and you're going to really screw it up. But the more you do it, the better you get. And this is how life works. So just because something feels bad doesn't mean it's bad. Establishing boundaries is an essential part of protecting your emotional peace and well-being and maintaining healthy relationships. Ultimately, people will respect you for it in the long run. So if you want to become more emotionally strong, practice communicating your wants and needs. No wishy-washy passive-aggressive. That doesn't work. I've tried. Have the courage to set and enforce boundaries. Know that it's going to be challenging. Remember, no is a complete sentence with nothing after it. Mel once told me, no, and here's my one-line mantra for you, I don't have to defend myself. It's really hard. It is really hard. When you were raised that way, you just got to give yourself a break. By respecting your own limits and needs, you create a space where you can thrive without being overwhelmed by external demands. So in closing, if you want to, again, become emotionally strong, work to build these 4 habits. Control your attention, not your emotions. Focus on how you respond to your feelings rather than trying to suppress them. Practice compassionate self-talk. Treat yourself with kindness, understanding, especially during the most difficult of times. Use values, not feelings, to make decisions. Let your core beliefs guide your actions and not your transient emotions. Set healthy boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. And by incorporating these 4 habits into your life, you can develop that emotional strength to navigate life's challenge with resilience and grace. Last thing, my teacher would tell me, don't respond when you're emotional. And he goes, and by the way, that's very tricky because the ego will say, I'm not emotional. But if you are still feeling angst, you're emotional. Although you might have calmed down mentally, but if there's still angst in your body, give it a couple days. The problem's not going anywhere. The person's not going anywhere. No one's going anywhere. Give yourself to the grace. Don't answer the text. Don't answer the email. Don't do the phone call. Just take a couple hours, couple days, and what the other person will appreciate is that you replied mindfully, and you will surprise them. And they'll go, who are you and what do the aliens do with you? So with love and blessings, these are the ways that we transform. And I will just ground that in prayer for us today. Just take a breath, a collective breath. One more collective breath, breathing in. I just know right here, right now, the divine essence of love, your truth, that everlasting eternal light that burns in your heart, that opens and takes form. We give our will to it. Thy will be done to the heart. The heart is the center of wisdom. It is beyond all intellectual knowledge, and it is the informant of wisdom. We tap into that with ease and grace because we were born with it. We will pass on with it, and if you believe, we may even reincarnate with it. But the truth of this moment is that is your highest idea. That is the Christ light within you. That is the elevated consciousness. And all that's really going on here is a game of consciousness that reveals to you where we may have some further growth to do, but we can enter that joyfully knowing that Spirit always has our back. That it is, that we are a new breed, unkind, different type of person, because we go within to discover that truth, to radiate it out to all that we meet. It excites me, it fills me up, it flows me over, because this truth, this divine essence is who we are. And I celebrate it today and every day. I stand firmly in it, and I will not move off this foundation. And I know that truth for you as it fills me up, flows over, and spills out onto all that pass by this building, and it radiates out of you wherever you go today. That I know this wisdom has pierced a piece of who you are and gives you what you need to fill you up and to help you traverse the greatness, the joys, the sorrows of your life. That Spirit has every answer to every conceived possible problem of the mind. That truth is our truth right here, right now, and I release it into the law, knowing it cannot be returned void, for there is nothing but love, and so it is.